All right, let it roll. Come in.
All
All
Okay.
right.
right.
No,
All right.
Okay,
you look
we're on
fan.
now.
Yep, you're on. All right,
All
Clint,
right.
let's do our thing, baby.
All right. Well, indeed, we are here. Welcome to the Hamityville Horror Podcast. I'm Clint.
I'm Don.
Thank you for visiting. Today, we are joined with a very special guest. Um, Good
Special,
Lord.
special, special guest.
Absolutely. I didn't put enough specials in
No, you
there.
didn't.
Yeah, we have a writer, an artist, actor, Mr. Brandon Maggart here with us tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm terrific, guys. What are we going to talk about?
Well,
What do you want
you
to
know,
talk about?
Horror.
Oh,
horror.
let's do it.
Yeah, I would love
Let's
to do
do it.
that. But before we do that, I'd like to just take a second to appreciate, how long and impressive of a career you've had. I mean, you spent over 50 years either on the stage or on film or on television somewhere, and that is just incredible to me. When I look down the list of things that you've done, I mean, so many things I was able to recognize, even if it was just one episode on a show. It seemed to me like you were just looking for new experiences all the time, and I don't know if that's an accurate statement or or
Well,
if
no, well, I started out to be an actor, and then I realized you have to make a living at it.
yes, that's the
Then you have
hard
to
part,
take it.
isn't
That's
it?
the hard part.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me into just a general question. I wanted to say, did you feel the desire, to be a performer at an early age, or was there a specific event in your life that kind of caused you to catch the bug or to spark your interest in it?
All right, you may have to stop me, okay? Just
Okay.
butt in any moment because I've done a lot of these podcasts about my career in books and
Hmm.
paintings and all this stuff. So I give you an idea of what I got interested in communication. Like when I was a little kid, I was not very verbal, but I found out that you could make a communication in other ways. Like one was I communicated with a high school teacher by her seeing me in a play, but in the classroom I couldn't. I couldn't communicate with her at all. But when she came to see me in a one act play called The Valiant, and I opened the stage door and leaving, and she was standing there, and there were tears running down. She had the cake, some had this very heavy cake white makeup on. She wore it every day. It wasn't a clown show. It wasn't that way, but
Sure.
the tears are rolling down. It was like the Grand Canyon rolling down her face like this. And I realized then then she told me about how she loved my performance in the play and all this stuff. And I said, "Wow, this communication thing is incredible. How you can be on stage and be someone else. If you're not verbal, you can use other people's words, how they've expressed through emotional times. And if you have the talent to invest yourself into what they have written and you put it on stage and put the light on it and so people can see and be quiet while you're talking and you can make wonderful communication that way. That's just a kid's eyes opening to communication, and that's what sparked it, really.
That's no, I mean, and it's I like how you use that word communication. Like some people, like you said, talking in regular sentences, words, it doesn't always get through, but sometimes, and it's that golden rule, actions speak louder than words. If you're on stage and you're portraying a part, sometimes it just hits different than a normal conversation. And that kind of leads me into this is and me and Clint were talking off mic about it. Christmas Evil, since you led into this saying you want to talk horror, we are going to talk horror.
Well, I didn't. I said we'll eventually get to that, but I like to talk about, yeah. Why do you like horror? Why is a little kid like to be frightened. Now when I was a little kid, we also heard ghost stories, right?
Right.
When you were little.
Right.
I said, why does everybody want to hear ghost stories? It just scared me. I wasn't too happy with them. And there were other ways of scaring people that was really strange, like the high school kids especially will do terrible things.
Oh, no doubt.
Like there was one a kid, he was just being exposed to the sexual thing with girls for the first time in the upper classes. The boys said, look, we're going to take you out to the woods here. And there's this girl, I've noticed you looking at her, and she's been going to be waiting for you up the head of this holler. He said, we're going to take you up there and she'll be waiting for you. And so the kid's scared to death, but he's going because they were his friends. And they drive way up there and they get out of the car and walk up this hill. And there's a house up on the hill. He's walking up there and it's beginning to look a little spooky. And the boy said, look, no, she's going to open the door in a minute. She's come out, then you can talk to her and then we'll see what happens. And the closer they get to the house, the more kind of excited and scared at the same time. Then all of a sudden, that front door opens and they said it was the father or the grandfather or whatever, but it was one of the boys. Steps out of there with a shotgun and says, I'm going to shoot you, boy. And the other two guys run off down the hill. And the boy dropped to the ground. They said, and he looks, and they're before they know it, they're gone. He looks down there. They've been in the car and they've left him there. And the guy's out there with the shotgun, and he starts running, jumping over a fence, running. Now, this is how they tell stories, old country stories, how they exaggerate to make them better.
Right.
Said he was so scared he ran across a creek that was known to be 6 feet deep and didn't get wet above the knees.
All right.
And everybody laughed, scared him to death, and everybody laughed. Why is that? What is the nature of drawing you to being frightened? Hit it, boys.
That's a good one. I mean, I think one thing that it's the old saying, when it happens to you, it's scary. And when you hear, other people's misfortunes, other people's, like you said, downtrodden times like that, you find it funny because it's not you. Now, flip the script, put yourself in those shoes. I bet you'd be scared. There's no doubt about it. So I think that's one thing that
I always put myself in his position.
Right.
I'd be really mad.
I'd be pissed off. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, from an outside perspective, I mean,
The same way you talked just now, the old comic thing, if what guy's walking down the street steps on a banana peel, it's really funny, unless it's you.
right.
Go. Exactly. Yep.
Same thing you were saying before.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of like if I'm watching it and it's something that I find genuinely frightening, as a person who's not accustomed to being afraid all the time, it seems to access a different part of my brain. You know what I mean? And you just feel like flushed with these different emotions, and it creates like almost like I don't know, like a euphoric response. You know what I mean? You have the fear, and then you have the relief of knowing that it's not real. And
let me stop you right there. But
okay,
what draws you to that? Because you know there's going to be a relief, like the movie's going to be over and you're going to be great.
I think so, because no nightmare would be enjoyable unless it ended.
That it's a little bit like an addiction.
Yeah.
It's like you get. I'm an alcoholic, been sober I haven't had a drink in 43 years, but before that, you take one drink, and it ran in my family. A lot of people can drink and keep on drinking their whole life, but I couldn't, so I had to stop. But see, when you start drinking, you get that first high, and you say, wow, and you go crazy, and then you start chasing that high for the rest of your life, and it starts getting further away. Yes, after I never did drugs, but people who do drugs, they keep chasing that high, and they kept needing more drugs.
Mhm.
Keep knowing, do wonder if people, do you need more fright, more horror movies to get that high again? I don't know. But thinking of it in terms of you chasing a feeling. Like first, do you remember your first love?
I do.
I think so.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you will always remember that wonderful feeling, confusing feeling, and the wonderful feeling about it. And then maybe you'll come down, it'd be a little bit like it later on. And then maybe you'll get married and it would be wonderful. You have children, and all of a sudden you got to make a living, and it changes over to other things. Well, wait a minute, where is that wonderful feeling? They're like, I fell into that trap too. I started chasing falling in love throughout my whole life. So I two ex-wives and 7 children, 7 grandchildren. So and God knows how many lovers, because I've been on stage my whole life, and there's always wonderful, exciting, beautiful women who just want to be friends.
Yeah.
And develops from there. So you chase that, and if you chase, then if you're wonderful, this girl, and then pretty soon she's heard all your stories, seen everything you've done, made love to you so many times, and if that original high gets worn off, you start looking around again. So I started writing books and painting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Chasing a new high altogether.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
you can never catch it because it's always ahead of you. If you catch it, you got it. It's gone again, and it takes more. You got to be more frightened the next time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or more in love the next time.
Yep.
Or more high on drugs or on booze the next time.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not scaring you guys.
No,
I'm
no.
talking about
Hey.
horror.
He's talking horror. We're still sitting here. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. No, I can absolutely see the connection, and it is a very similar thing. I mean, you after a while, I mean, people do become desensitized to the images in these movies, and they have a tendency to want to go bigger and harder,
Okay,
and
but
see
then
something.
here we go
Yeah.
down another road.
All right.
Then you start gathering with friends who like that same thing, like horror movies. Then you go to conventions where everybody gathers about, and then guys came in here, I don't know, a few months ago, and I signed autographs for Christmas Eve till my hands hurt. I mean, they give me some money, which is nice, and they sell them for a lot more than they paid me. I know, but so anyway, okay, go ahead. I guess. Hey, now listen. My brain. I'm into my 90th year now. I'm 89, so I'm into my 90th year. So if I love my brain and my thoughts.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a new thought will come in, like a fish chasing a new lure, shiny object. I'll follow that. So
go. Let it go.
We don't mind.
We don't mind. Let it go.
We don't mind.
But then I'll have to say, stick a pin in that one, because I want to get back to where I was.
Yeah.
That's right, because we'll be the lure. We'll rear you back in. That's what we'll do. We'll let the fish go, and then we'll rear you back in.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Well, you just had your 89th birthday a few days back.
Yes, you did. Happy belated birthday.
Happy belated birthday, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I hadn't been on stage performed in years because for several reasons. One, I had a terrible back problem. I have a cadaver bone in my back.
Oh.
A degenerative thing, but also I really hurt it. I was doing a film where I was a hard-ass detective, and I was kicking down somebody's front door to try to get in. One of those big, and I'm playing like a big bully kind of. Anyway, bam, bam, bam. I kept doing it, and then they said, anyway, I have to do it from the inside of the door. The camera shoots this way, and I said, well, I'd have somebody else kick it on the outside, because I'm beginning to hurt my leg and my back. It's getting tired. He said, no, nobody can do it like that because you have such strong bang. So that was part of it. And then, so I couldn't go places to go to meetings and so forth. And then I got interested in the painting. That's another story. and I was doing a sitcom, which didn't require me to move all that much and stuff. So, but yeah, you got to make different plans or use the road less traveled when you hit certain parts in your life.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, and again, the roads you traveled have been far, 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 far beyond what anybody could have imagined. I mean, you've done.
What part of the country are you guys in?
I'm in Virginia. He's in Pennsylvania.
So you guys got together at a horror convention?
We got together at a bar.
There you go.
In a basement that we thought we were going to get shot in because we couldn't find it, and then we walked in. It was this big steel door, and we're like, "Oh shit! I think we're this is like the mafia or somewhere that we're not supposed to be." And we came in,
Yeah.
and we just started talking about it. And Clint, who was what were they singing?
I think it was called the Speakeasy, which is kind of why it was hidden down an alleyway in a side door of a building on a fire escape. But yeah, I don't remember what song was playing. Some guy in there who had some skill at playing the keyboard, but not very much skill at singing, was doing a song by Journey at one point, I think.
I think I gave him $20 to stop playing. I was like, brother, look, Steve Perry, I mean, I get it, but
now that's a real life thing where
Yeah.
you're really scared. Now I'll give you a quick one of me real life. While I was an actor, which I'm making, stick a pin in my head, okay? I'm going to tell you a story about a war movie I made in Germany with Burt Reynolds, okay?
Okay.
About that. Now, what was the one I was going to jump to? I better continue with that one because that's what I got excited about. So I was doing a film with Howard Keel. I'd done South Pacific with that musical with Howard Keel, and we finished. He said he wanted me to go to Germany and make a film war picture. And this is like 1960. This is before your grandparents were born.
Yeah.
and so anyway, so we went to Germany to make this picture right after the Second World War, and we were shooting down near Munich. And we actually went up to visit the Eagle's Nest, Hitler's Eagle's Nest. That was a spooky place. But anyway, we were in this little town that had a moat around it, like in old castle days, a moat around. Amberg was the name of the place. And there was a cathedral there, and it had in the bowels of the cathedral, there were tunnels, wine cellars, and so forth like that. So as I say, this is right after the Second World War. So you can imagine soldiers making a war picture about being in a war with you, and they're making it in your hometown. That would make you a little, if you were a German kid in a hometown like. So anyway, we went out one night to a brow house, like, I don't know, 10 miles away, something like that. And there's an actor named Marty Ingalls. I don't know if you ever heard of him. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But you know who Burt Reynolds was, right?
Of course.
Right.
So we were at this dance hall, and place was packed. It was, you go inside the tables here, and you go through the door. It's a big dance place in there, and they were doing this row. I don't know if you're over there, and everyone starts swinging beers like this and yelling and carrying on, having a great time until something bad happens. So I was sitting at a table out here like this. Burt Reynolds was in there. Marty Ingalls, he's the clown.
Yeah, he's Pinhead. He's Pinhead in there, isn't he? I think his name's Pinhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee, you saw that movie?
My dad saw it.
All right. Well, I think that was his name. He's an asshole.
Hey, no. You can say whatever you want.
Okay. Anyway, so he's one of those guys. He wanted to be the center of attention all the time. So he was in there, and he apparently cut in on some German guy with his girlfriend and made an ass of himself. And those guys were just looking for trouble. for they knew we're there in our half tracks and tanks, going through the towns and shooting other Germans, that kind of thing. So I'm sitting at the table like this, and I look up, and here comes Marty Ingalls out this door, flying like boom out that door. Didn't see him again till many hours later. But then here comes Burt Reynolds out, and he's backing out, and he's actually Burt Reynolds playing Burt Reynolds like this. You guys, one of those things, and all these German young men started coming towards him, and he said, like, and then it was really frightening. I'm telling you, and then the owner of the place came up and said, "You guys got to get out of here." And they got some police to come up to escort us out of there because there's going to be some murders there. So we went on, and Earl Holliman, you know who he was? He's still alive. He's another actor. No problem. Anyway, so we went to this cathedral, and they were having a wine set. They were having listening to music down in the basement. A lot of German teenagers, and Burt Reynolds, me, and Earl Holliman, and Marty Ingalls. He's gone. Anyway, so we're back in there, and we're just listening to music, and we were learning. We were picking up German a little bit. I knew a little bit of German. Talking to these people, it was very nice. Then all of a sudden, somebody comes in. What's the matter? Said those people, those angry German guys were up there, found out where we were, and they pulled up with like a bunch of cars out front, and they were coming in this tunnel, and there's no way out. It was like that, and so Burt Reynolds and I faced him on one side of the thing. We broke bottles, and we were standing there with broken bottles, one in each hand, ready to do the best we could. It wasn't going to come out in our favor.
Oh yeah, right.
We're going to go down swinging or
slashing
broken bottles. And they come in, they got almost up to us, and then all of a sudden they took off. They found out. Then the local police found out that they had found us there, and they pulled us out. But I'm telling you, that was scary.
That sounds like some
knowing
scary
that
shit.
they were coming in and putting you in their position. If you were in their position, you'd say, "I'm going to kill these fucking
No doubt.
soldiers." And so, being an actor, you always look at both sides. Here's another thing. You don't even have to stick a pin in that, sir, but this is the same thing, because I'm going to go on. Being an actor, when you're on stage, you're in two places at the same time. You're in your head, you're on screen, or I work more on the stage, but you're on stage and you're there. You also have a life. You're at home, you've got your wife and the kids, you got to figure out what you're going to have for breakfast, all that stuff. But you put that aside. But when you're doing this, you have this parallel thing going on. You're the actor, you're in that part, but you're also living at the same time the part that you're off stage. You follow me?
Yeah, I've read your book. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So I thought, and there's a thing called quantum entanglement. Are you up on physics at all? Quantum entanglement.
Quantum entanglement.
Okay.
Quantum entanglement. It means like the physicist Paul Dirac says, pluck a flower on Earth and move the farthest star. Like everything is connected. Everything is connected. So I can get lost in that stuff for months, thinking about, as I've written, I think one of you started reading one of my books, right? So you probably, thank you. So I'm constantly in a state, like when you dream at night, you're in that state, but you're also this body, you don't have any control of your arms and legs. If you have a nightmare, you start fighting. Then your arms and legs don't move, right?
Right.
Yeah. You're going, and the next thing happened to me, I've had nightmares all my life. We have to see a psychiatrist. We want to look into that. But I never bothered me that much. So I actually kicked hard enough to throw myself out of bed and on the floor, you know. So
Wow.
you have to break away from that part, the physical part, because you're living in your brain is like when you go to bed at night, and if you want to sleep well, don't exercise your mind too much right before you go to bed. Like I used to, for a time, I'd write a lot, get excited about a lot of stuff, and go to bed, and this thing up here in my head is still firing. But
Right.
if you before bedtime, if you calm down and do meditation, you do it like calm down, then you get into bed like that, and you go to sleep. Then it's much easier to go to sleep. But then again, sometimes the stuff's still roaming around in you and your history, roaming around in your synapses, jumping from one synapse to the next, connecting all the little entanglements in your brain, firing off things, and all of a sudden, you pick out your own nightmare. Actors have their own special actor's nightmare. You know about those, like you're on stage and you don't know what play you're in. You
Yep.
don't know your lines.
Yep.
Right.
And you have to. I still have those. Anyway, all right. Where were we? How we doing?
No, we're good. Hey,
Yeah, we're fine.
I got sleep lessons. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good to go.
Yeah.
No, I think one thing that a lot of people have wondered, and me myself included, me and Clint were talking about it. So obviously in Christmas Evil, you played a deranged Santa Claus. So what did that have any effect on you as far as, knowing that you were playing, one of the most influential cultural characters in history, and you're going to be, walking up the steps of a church, with a army man stabbing somebody in the eye and then, bashing their brains in with a hatchet.
You got to. I removed myself from all that. What's going to happen in the movie, right? It's just. When you're little, they say, "Hey, you got the Easter Bunny, right? You got the religious stuff, okay? You got Santa Claus, okay?" Then you find out your friend says, "Hey, there's no Santa Claus." You say, "Yes, there is." Like the movie, right? So the character I played, he was like a card too short of a full deck anyway. He's an emotional kid, but he was a good kid, honest kid, and he was just living like so many people do, of just believing what people tell them. And then if you grow up and you say, well, wait a minute, later on, if you forget that character, but you grow up and you say, wait a minute, people all along have been telling me about fictional characters to believe in. And then all of a sudden they say, well, we were just kidding. That's what's scary to me.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's scary. Well, then I can't trust the grown-ups. And then if I go to church and they tell me this, that, and the other, and believe me, teenagers know what in a small town. I grew up in a small southern town, and they know what the grown-ups. They know more about what the grown-ups' wives are doing with the grown-ups' husbands when the others don't know it, and thing like, and they're the church people, and they're telling you it. It just, you have to think for yourself. You have to look around and think for yourself. Yeah, I'm going to jump way to the end here. At my age, every day, I live in I have an upper deck where I go out and I look up at I'm living in Southern California. I look up at the sky every morning and every night. I go out there and I look up and I think of all the books that have been written, well, I don't want to go into the Bible too much, but we know it was passed down and translated and abridged and all that stuff, everything. And I'm saying, well, if there is a God, I'm just going to cut out all the middlemen. I know, I know I'm getting too far off the thing with Jesus and stuff, but Jesus said, "Love thy neighbor," and the golden rule is do unto others, you have others do unto you. Mm-hmm. For me, that's all you got to know. That's all I got to know. The rest of it's just people swapping stories about this who said that, don't eat fish on Friday, all this stuff. And then they say, well, the priest didn't mean to hurt the little boys. In fact, but he did, but he's kind of good. So cut out all the middlemen. And I say every day, I say a little prayer that I heard of it. Let love and light flow into down on earth, into the hearts and minds of all the people. It's just between us. And try to, if people are listening, I'll talk about it. But that's it. Okay, I know I got way off track, but
Oh, that's all right. I did want to put a finer point on your character Harry in Christmas Evil. To me, he's a very dynamic character. He's full of extremes. I mean, he's fragile and he's volatile, determined but confused, jolly and angry. Like he's got a lot of repressed emotions. And my question really is, how do you even prepare for a role like that? Because I feel that came across very well. And
it was really easy for me.
Yeah.
According to when I put myself in his shoes, they're telling me that Santa Claus didn't exist. And that's like telling somebody that God doesn't exist. Santa Claus doesn't exist. You got really angry, and everybody hits a breaking point if they keep pounding at you like that, So he hit the breaking point, and it wasn't in the script, but when putting the shaving thing on, and he having that breakdown at that moment, all that was improvised. Me saying it's me like that, because that's when I knew that the kid hit the grown man at that time hit the breaking point of everything's falling apart, and I'm going to go take my refuge. I'm going to go back into what I knew as a little kid was Santa Claus. And what other people I knew as God or as Jesus or as Mohammed or whatever. That's my Santa Claus was this little kid's truth point. That's it. And when he breaks down, he just breaks down, and then he becomes blends with the reality of being there, being the kid, being the actor on stage, doing it, and what it feels like to have the rug pulled out of you, all your thoughts shuttled like that. Well, where does your mind go? I'm going to be Santa Claus. I'm going to be, if I'm the only good person left, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. And on the church thing, you're going to step, and they come out like that. He didn't mean to go there to stab people. They just came out and all of a sudden started making fun of him.
Yep.
And he's there, and then he loses it then. And he loses it when he's killing the guy in bed. By that point, he's gone anyway.
He's gone.
So, anyway, that acting part of that was me going back into my just what I said, just breaking loose.
Yep.
And what's your refuge? If you're drowning, you reach for a next thing. It's floating by, even if it's a drowning person will drown the next person to them.
Yep.
That's right. It. So if he's drowning out there and they're coming like that, he's going to take them down with him. That thing. That's a human instinct.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. Get pushed too far.
You followed that, right?
Yes. That made a lot of sense to me.
I love this. This is amazing.
I just find it interesting to hear the thought process that went into how you're gonna emote that on screen. I mean,
well, you're already there in the first place. You come on the set or whatever. There's certain actors, like wonderful actors, like if they're out and doing a film, and they extremely stay in character when they're not on the screen, not when the camera's not rolling. They go off in the corner and stay in that same character. And some actors I've seen actors that stand in the wings and laugh and something like this and step out on the stage and go into the most emotional thing. Now that's a technique that once you've been there on stage in rehearsal and the thing, it hit that point. At that point, then that's the horse you're going to ride once you step out on stage.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always say. If I go into a part and I say, all right, I got to find my horse to ride. Once I find the right horse to ride, I'm gone.
Yep.
So then we step off the wings onto the stage. There's your horse, you know, and you're already right in the middle of it. And your technique is, you know, you're there. You don't have to do the emotional process. This is like if you're a singer, like, you know, when my daughter's a singer, and she goes through a terrible emotional wrenching out to write the songs sometimes when she was young, but she doesn't have to do them when she goes on stage. She goes into that place where she was. Now,
Right.
if she goes back and forth, it's like I'm just pushing one thing, but it's a technique that you. Here's my pants that I'm going to wear for this. You know, I put on these pants. Okay, I'm in that person. Okay, I know I jump around a lot, but
No, I'm following you.
No, man, we're there. We got you.
It's a compartmentalizing a feeling or an emotion, and you just have to put yourself back there and remember
it's
it.
like you get a hit and you're running to first base.
Yeah.
Right? You're on first base. You're safe. You know you're standing on first base.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to run to first base again.
Nope.
Right.
Just like I said, it's a routine technique. We do the same thing. We have our methods that we have when we do our podcast, and you know, we always have our introduction. It just comes natural. Everything just comes natural, and especially with, you know, your family, your daughter who's a singer. You know, everything just comes natural. You never have to relearn, you know, the basics normally, you know, and that's what's really cool about, especially with, you know, with the parts that you've played, and then going from that to a painter, to a writer, author. It's like you've learned so much now. It just all comes natural.
Well, I've read my whole life. I've been a big reader and very interested in science, religion, politics. I'm not going to go into politics now, but I'm very political. I'm not even going to ask you guys your politics, but if you follow me on Facebook, you would know mine.
Absolutely.
But at any rate, I'm interested in the universe, the earth, and I place in it. In this chair, I'm sitting here, and I'm talking to you guys across the country, back and forth, having a dialogue, just like you were sitting here in the room with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Technology, which, when used properly, is in great. You know, no one to tell you that. And when you guys, your technique is when you're really good at it, you're not really promoting stuff. You bring your guests on to let your audience know the person that you think they're interested in. And so you you break open a scab and the blood starts coming out there. Okay, what's this blood? He's going to bleed for us.
Damn, write that analogy down, Clint. We got to steal that one. I'll send you $5 every time we say that on air. Just give me your address. I'll send it to you.
I hope they interpret it right.
I got it. Clint's got it. I know for a fact. So we're good on that one. That's a good one. But no, I mean, you know, like I said, the extent of what you've done, you know, as I told you on Facebook, you know, you are a ultra talented person. I mean, it's ridiculous everything that you've done, and you don't do anything bad. Like you don't half-ass anything. Your acting's good. Your acting's great. Paintings are great. Your writing's great. Is there something you're not good at?
You've heard me say that I was not good at drinking, and I would say, and if a good-looking girl comes by, I'm lost. Except now, when I got old. Now, when I got old, I don't have that problem so much.
Come on now.
Boy, it clears that. It makes your life much easier.
Sure.
No kidding.
I still have wonderful memories.
Sure.
But my memories these days, I look back at some of my lovers and I said, no, she's dead. Oh, my God. Yeah, she's dead now. Oh, she's dead. My two ex-wives are still living and fine. And we're good friends. I'm good friends with my ex-wives. And they both remarried. so forth. So we're good friends, and
That's good. No, that's awesome. That's a good commodity to have, no doubt about it.
Mhm.
But no, I mean, so it's just seeing everything you've done, back, you've been on shows that I watched, obviously after they came out, but Sesame Street, seriously?
Oh, let me step into that one for a
All right,
second.
that's
step in.
original,
Tag in.
original cast of Sesame Street, and you can see those
Mhm.
sketches we did, Buddy and Jim. You can
Yeah.
find them on YouTube now. They're people still. People used to tell me it was really big when it first came out because it was new to the country, new to the world, and so we couldn't walk down the street. It was like I'd been on Broadway and all this stuff. Nobody cares. Been on television, nobody. But be on Sesame Street, walk down. Oh my God, that's Buddy. It's amazing the platform. You guys, you know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to make a statement about it. But I promise there'll be a question at the end. So I kind of consider myself to be a lifelong Sesame Street fan. I mean, the show came out like about 9 years before I was born, but I swear I remember watching like reruns of it where I saw some of those Buddy and Jim sketches. And in fact, I watched one yesterday, and I actually found myself at 44 years old entertained by two grown men struggling to correctly assemble a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't know what that. I don't know what that says about me, but I think it says a lot about the scene partnership that you had with your co-star, and what seemed like genuine fun that you were having on set. And my question is, did you have any idea at that time the longevity that this show would have? And if you had known, would you have stuck around longer? I mean, past one season?
No, it's the reason. This is not a really great story, except we were on just the first season, which was the big boom like that.
Yeah.
And then we were so popular, they wanted to approve any commercials we did or any movies we did, and so and they didn't want to pay much, So I said, well, I have a house full of children. I can't survive on what you want to pay, and me turn down movies. I turned down a big role, starring role in a movie, not because they said so, but because I didn't want to do it myself because I didn't like the character and what kids would see me playing that, But they didn't tell me to turn it down. I just turned it down myself. So that was the bittersweet thing about that. We couldn't do more of them. And with Jimmy Gattusi, he was heartbroken that we couldn't go back. They tried to replace us with several things, but it didn't work out. Also, they found out there was a problem. People saying, well, you're showing stupid people, But what the whole thing in the beginning was, they wanted to show you that the kids figure out laughing because they don't know what they eat. I know how it gives them a confidence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they don't take it like, but there's always people going to pick it no matter what you do. But I treasure that year on there, and that people, like you say, people who still play those things. And there's a TV series I did called Brothers that was on Showtime. But when it was on, Showtime wasn't all over the place. It's divided between HBO and Showtime, and like in New York, I was very popular above 79th Street. Below that, they only knew me from Broadway. And we had you guys familiar with that show, Brothers?
I've seen some of it. I think Don's watched more of it than me.
It's like the first show ever. There were two gay characters on it, and it was it was really emotional about the horrible things that were happening, and people are disowning their children, people, all that stuff. But we did live audiences at Paramount Studios, and to bring such joy and laughter to a lot of those people, it was incredible. And I'll never forget that some guy came back one day, and he was backstage. He said he wanted to meet me. He said, yeah. He said that when my father found out I was gay, said he disowned me, and said I called him from where I was. I said, Dad, please watch Brothers. It said he watched Brothers. It says now we're talking. That father and son were talking.
That's
They had more
amazing.
understanding about things. So I've
Wow.
really been so lucky to be in pivotal things like
You have.
those
You have.
those things.
You know, and it's really cool to go, you know, to say that I've seen it, you know, because it has a lot of amazing people in it. Robert Walden's in it. James Avery was there. You know, R.I.P. I mean, it's
Did
Paul
you see that
Regina.
somebody just put up the one like the compilation of Donnie and Lou having all their stuff? Did you see that one?
I have it.
There was-
I have it saved. I gotta watch it. I saved the video. I gotta watch it.
oh, you're gonna pee in your pants.
I'm sure I will. I have
Great,
zero doubt.
some really funny stuff and human stuff, and that's just the tip of it, you know.
Right.
So
No,
anyway,
this was a great show for it, and especially, you know, coming out and you know, going from 84 to 89. I mean, it was something different. That was the thing about it was different. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't your same. And you know, and this kind of wraps up into like how we were talking with horror too. You know, you kind of, you know, you have to redefine the genre. You know, you have to come up with something different. Back in the 80s, you know, you had the slasher, you had the zombie. That was pretty much it. And then, you know, you had the torture horror, and then now you have the gratuitous gore and everything like that. It's constant, you know, redefinition of a genre that has been around for, you know, decades. You know, with White Zombie being, you know, one of the first ones to come out. You know, Nosferatu, and it kind of, yeah, everything that you've been in part of has kind of redefined, you know, a lot of things. You know, Murder She Wrote, Knots Landing, Who's the Boss. I mean, even down to like Adventures of
well, I
Briscoe
tell you
County
another one.
Jr. with
Here's
Bruce
another
Campbell.
one, a pivotal. Here's a pivotal one also about the races. I was in. I don't know if you ever seen. We did the filming of Pearly. Do you ever see the? Look at that. I play the old captain in that.
Hmm.
And then I did a play with Ruby Dee at the Public Theater called Wedding Band, written by Alice Childers, who wanted to play. Now, and also I did America Be Seated, like a mixed minstrel show. We
Yeah,
did it at the World's Fair, supposed to be on Broadway. But the whole thing at that time, when I was doing some of those early shows, black people didn't have any roles to play except playing, you know, butlers and bellhops and things or
Right.
whatever. And yes, you know, like that. So when I was coming up then, they were mixing, saying that black people were people and they have thoughts and they have a place in the universe, in this country. You know, one man, we're still fighting for it, but
Yeah.
that's the way it's supposed to be. So I was involved in that, and even the factions of the black community. One of them said for the minstrel thing, said, "You got to cut out that." And the other faction said, "No, this just shows they're both making fun of what was happening at the time." You know, so there's always people, but I would been right in the center of movements of what's happening at the time. Been very
yeah,
lucky at that.
no doubt. I mean, again, you know, I think you were. You're probably gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong. Just, you know, making sure I don't see stuff wrong. In the Heat of the Night, I think, weren't you on one episode of that?
No, don't think so. I forget a lot of stuff I've been in, to be honest with you. But I don't think I was ever in the heat of the night.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Fair enough. I'm just rolling through some stuff, but yeah, I mean, you've been part of some amazing things. In fact, the world according to Garp is definitely like what kind of shows up on a lot of stuff. I mean, Robin Williams. I mean, that's
Yeah, that's another thing that happened. Like today, the thing about I was writing something about. There's a song that you know who, which is Don McLean sings about Starry Starry Night. Do you know that
yes,
song?
yes, yep.
Yeah.
Now, when do you know who he just died? Uh, uh, Glitch, the dancer, just died this week.
Oh,
His name is last
Oh,
name
yeah,
Boss.
yeah. Twitch.
Twitch,
He
yeah.
was such a great spirit of spreading joy and a wonderful artist and everything. And when he offed himself, I thought, wait a minute. Of all the people, and felt the same way with Robin Williams out there doing it. You never know what's going on inside a person's mind, a mental person that don't really make sense to us that don't have that problem.
Yeah.
But it was just so shocking, and that's what made me sing "Starry, Starry Night." I sang it the other night here, and about at the end, at the very end, it said that this world does not deserve anyone as beautiful as you. Talking about Vincent van Gogh, and it's like the other two people, like it's just something that just don't make sense to you. You can't say, well, they did the right thing, and God's always doing the right thing. So, well, I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you almost sucked me into it, because I was going to say, when people say, they're going to a better place. Someone tell me what the fuck that is, please. Someone tell me where that is.
Then you can take another thing that we don't know. When I say everything is nothing is created or destroyed. Everything's already here. It's just the combinations of things. Your father ejaculated like 4 million times. One sperm fertilized your mother's egg, and there you are. But then you're going to go and you're going to go back. Here's another thing. People are going to hate me. My nephew just passed away, and I know, I shouldn't. Anyway, somebody I know just passed away, and I don't want to be put in the ground, or ash to ash and dust to dust. I think you should go back into the. I'm sorry I got on this, but go back into the earth. You can put my ashes in the ocean, in the earth, back on the farm where I was raised. Put me under a tree there.
Right.
Yeah. I grew up and be a part of that. Whether you have consciousness or not, you don't know. When I talked about playing different roles, maybe I'll come back in another role. Don't know I had the earlier role, but I'll be in this role now.
Yeah.
People say continuous life. I've been writing a lot about that. My latest book was Kate's Crossing, where at the end, you don't know if the transmigration of souls. And sometimes people say you come back as a rabbit or a donkey or whatever, stuff like that. And you come back as a tree. You come back, and time has nothing to do with anything. You know how old time is? Time doesn't have any. Time is just a measurement. Time is just a measurement of things that happen in between.
Right.
All right. Anyway, I ramble on, don't I?
No, that's okay. No, I completely agree. I personally have no interest in being preserved in a box and being placed in the ground.
That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
My friends that say they go and they put them in a drawer, stick them in this box. Now that's a religious thing I shouldn't touch. I don't have it. But to me personally, that's rather off-putting to me.
That's fucked up, ain't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not to them. Not to them, but to me, it is.
Yeah.
But I don't say, people say, well, I'm going to go to my son was shot and killed in the South Pole or something, where I'm going to go get him and bring him home to a proper funeral. I know I'm going to get mail on that, but he's already there where he's going to be.
Right.
It's like my nephew that died yesterday. I said, he's already gone. He's there. I'm telling you one more thing like that. Here's something I actually felt. My best friend, Ronnie Graham, he's a comic and a wonderful jazz pianist. I was with him when he died, and they took him off the ventilator. And I was just, me and the nurse were with him at the time. And I literally felt this. Now, I'm a storyteller, but I literally felt when they unplugged him, he just lifted right straight up and then went on like was been holding him down.
Yep.
Now, I can't explain that other than I wasn't thinking about, maybe I'll feel this. When they turned it, all of a sudden, and he was gone. Yeah. And I felt like he was going to go up there and play a jazz piano with Oscar Peterson. But there's a lot about everything that we will never know, but you have feelings. And as long as you don't hurt other people, You know,
Bingo.
bingo.
There's the big one. As long as you don't hurt anybody else and cram everything down everybody's throat, everybody can get along perfectly fine,
Mhm.
without a shadow of a doubt. I agree.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of
it's go ahead, Clint. I've
no,
talked.
no, that's all right. And the human experience is unique for everybody, and I think that we all try to cling to something, to find some stability or some direction or some meaning.
Let
You
me
know,
interrupt you.
yeah,
Are you an actor?
no, sir.
Oh, because you have a very nice speaking voice.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Like you,
goddamn. Glad I sound like shit.
no, you sound real. Both of you sound real, but Clint sounds Clint, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Mhm.
You sound. I don't know how to say it,
Clint, you
because I
sound proper.
appreciate both equally, but you sound more.
Rehearsed.
No, you
Proper.
sound like you have a proper speaking voice.
There you go.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
That doesn't mean that you don't have because you're speaking like you speak.
Yeah,
But I'm talking about like if you wanted to be an announcer
yeah,
to sell somebody some aspirin or something, you could
yeah.
do that.
Don's got he's got that radio voice I like so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Clint, sell me aspirin. I want it next time. I want you to record it and send it to me.
All right. I'll make sure that I make a good case for aspirin for you. So yeah, now a lot of times, people trying to find, stability in their own lives, and they'll pick a hobby or something like that that sticks with them for a really long time. Seems to me that you've tried a lot of things, and now the stage acting like gave you that high that you were looking for, at that time in your life when that's what you felt you needed, and then you got into painting to deal with some emotions. And then you started writing because you felt the need to do that.
Can you see in that other room there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The paintings, it goes up 3 floors
Wow.
of my paintings. And they're also in this room too, but it's really dark all
Yeah.
around.
Wow.
Over
Yeah.
like that. But you want to hear why I got started painting, man?
Yes.
Yeah, I was interested what gave you the most joy and was the most rewarding for you. But go ahead.
Give me the most joy.
Yeah.
Back when I was really a drinker,
Okay.
I'd go into a special room at night. My wife at that time would sleep in the other room with the kids up there, and I'd come in after doing a show. I'd come in and have a bottle of scotch and some peanuts or something, and I would get into my books, science books and philosophy and so forth. And the drummer I get really close to finding the keys to the universe, and I have found the keys to the universe, and I'd write all my notes down there. The next day I get up and I couldn't make sense of my notes. I got great joy in figuring it out, but it just went out to whatever it was gone. I'm sorry, I had to throw that.
No, it's just understand, you get in that mindset and then you come back to it. It's like, what did I do? What did I write? I can't even tell what I'm doing. I get it. I get it.
Good.
I
But
definitely
you have
get
to
it.
look back on that stuff and laugh and say, well, I probably didn't get there in the first place. I just thought I did.
Yeah.
But I still got the feeling that I did.
Or
Right.
you bent your mind to a place that you could never return to.
It's like in acting. It's one of my books. I think I've written it in a couple of my books where I go off on one of my dreams and I'm flying around the chandelier. Have any of you ever read any of that? Flying around the chandelier and looking down at the audience and what's on stage and everything like that. I don't know why I'm telling you that story, except it sounded like a good idea at the time.
It sounds we know where you're going. I mean, we just talked about that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, and tell us and our audience, definitely with your books, because your books are they're on a different level, man. They are phenomenal. I just, I just started. Which one I tell you, Clint?
Where Possum Dance and the Willow Sings.
That was
No,
behind
behind
these
was it-
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
It was
Behind these eyes.
behind these eyes. Trying to think
What?
of the. Hold on, let me get the title.
You talking about somebody else's book?
No, I'm not, because I bought them specifically because it said your name on there.
Well, the one I thought you said where Possums Dance and the Willow Sings. Maybe I
No,
got that.
that's one I'm gonna start next. Damn it, come on now. Got you
Well,
on here.
anyway,
Fucked it
they're
all up.
all about my thoughts about things, and where it's a lot. There's one of them that's it's I forget the name. It has pictures. Only one of them has pictures of a lot of shows I've been in. I don't know. You guys like into Broadway and well, I know you're TV and films, but
Yeah.
I did. I spent a lot of years in New York and the Broadway stage, and traveling across the country doing road shows and everything. So I spent an actor's life, really, until until the paintings. How
Yep.
much time we have left?
As much time as you want.
The paintings you all saw there. When I was doing a brother's show, and my daughter was in an auto accident by herself, killed on the Merritt Parkway in Connecticut. Her tire hit the gravel road because the trees at that time, I guess they still are, too close to the road. Apparently, anyway, she hit the tree and killed herself, or died, didn't kill herself. The tree did, but then I wrote about, well, the tree meant no harm. The tree was just a tree. It was there. And I had no ill feeling towards the tree. And it was an accident. And I felt bad, but it destroyed me.
Yeah.
I had a lot of children. I have 7 children. So, but it completely, I was doing Brothers at the time. And I was just, no other way to put it, I was just crazed. I didn't know what was up. And that was, I was really into the religion stuff. And could you talk to somebody after they're dead? And I was seeking, people that search follow any shiny objects again. In fact, still do like that. But then one day I was taking notes in between scenes and so forth. And I started doing note sessions. And I started scribbling. For some reason, I started like a cartoon. I remember the joke that my mother had told me. And I kind of laughed to myself. Now, how that flowed into my mind, I have no idea. But I started, so I drew I said, well, all right, if somebody looked at this, like one cell, one painting, one canvas, and they knew this story from when they were a kid, if they look, they said, oh, I know that story. And then they fill in the blank of the story, right? So I did that. And the one I cleaned it up a little, but my mother told me this when I was like 10 or 12 years old. My mother drank a little too. Anyway, she said it's about this old bull and the young bull up on the hill. You heard this one? Looking down in the valley. I can't show you the painting now, but I painted it up there somewhere. Looking down the valley, all these just dozens and dozens of cattle down there in the bottom. And the young bull up on the hill said, hey, let's run down there and have us one of them heifers. The old bull said, no. Let's walk down and have them all. So I laughed.
That's wisdom.
That's wisdom. Exactly.
That is the seed that started all these. I don't know if you can see this one. Can you see up there like 4 soldiers?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a World War II story. Back then, before politically incorrect and all that stuff, if you talk about, a Catholic and a Jew and we'll walk into a bar and the joke happens, right?
Right.
So during the World War II, there was like, so this was painting was like a B-25 bomber had gone down in the Pacific, and it was crashed on this desert island, and there are four guys there. Of course, they happen to be of same different ethnicities, right? So they'd eaten all their food, and they're down to one piece of cheese, and so they said, "Well, look, there's not enough food to divide up there. It's just that somebody said, all right, let's all go to sleep. The one that we wake up, we tell the dream we had. And the one that tells the best dream gets to have the last bit of cheese." And everybody agreed. And so they went to sleep, and they woke up. The guy said, first woke up, and he said, "Oh, I dreamt I died, went to heaven, and it was Thanksgiving. And there was turkey there and gravy." And he said, that was good. And the other guy said, "But I dreamed I died and went to heaven, and it was Christmas, and my aunts and uncles were there, and my first girlfriend was there, and we're having," and the other guy, "That's pretty good." The other guy said, in other words, telling his greatest story. "We had cake and ice cream, and we danced, and we had love," and like this. They turned to the last guy. Which I'm not going to say the ethnicity, pick your own at the time. He said, "Well, what happened to you?" He said, "Well, I hate to tell you." He said, "But when I went to sleep, I dreamed all you guys died and went to heaven. So I got up and ate the cheese." There's
Fucking
a lot
fantastic.
of stories like that all in the other room and all around. And some of them are paintings that have nothing to do with story. There's a painting up there about, I'll try to, up there you can see like I can't see what you see. Yeah, you can see the art display like in a museum.
Yeah.
That's not a joke, and there are a lot of them that are not jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I got time for one more joke. You see that?
Which one?
Above the TV set.
Yes.
One in
What does it
yellow.
look like?
The yellow one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a guy, an old guy, an old woman, and a dog. Right? and the dog's licking himself. He's licking his balls. Right? And the old guy's looking down there and says, "Yeah, I wish I could do that." The old lady said, "Well, you could try, but you better pet him first." So this thing of breaking the tension of and then having a laugh come in.
Yeah.
One day I was thinking, I was scared when I read Dracula, and I almost bought it when I saw the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Dracula is a great book.
Yeah, Dracula is a phenomenal book.
No, the Blair Witch Project, the film.
Blair Witch.
It got me on a couple spots.
Google it and watch it.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Looked like it's really happening.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it's really happening, but it's just watch it. Google the Blair Witch Project and watch that film.
Yeah, and
I would tell them to Google Cannibal Holocaust, but I don't want to.
No, don't do that.
I don't want anybody to fucking like die or anything because that movie's insane.
Oh, forget I said that, guys.
Yeah.
No, it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
And they had a great campaign where they basically marketed it to look as real as possible. And they were early in the internet days. And before we were talking about viral videos and things like that, they used the internet as a marketing tool, for the movie. So when people saw it, they already went into it thinking it was real. Mm-hmm. So it was very easy to get pulled into that way of thinking, and it was very effective for the time.
They had to go to court because of it, because they're like, these people were dead.
They had to prove that the actors were still alive.
Now listen, talking about my character in Christmas Evil.
Uh-huh.
That's a similar. If a guy has, doesn't, he's not really the brightest person in the room,
Right.
but he believes everything he sees. In this small town, like 2,000 people live in my small. There was one movie theater, and back then this was during the Second World War, and they had movie tone news. You go in and sit down in the movie theater, and before the movie started, they have a newsreel going. Of course, we got it like a year later, after it was news. But to begin, the thing was like the clip was a train. Bring you the movie tone news. Bring you, and the train like ran right over your face, in the theater. when those guys was in the theater one night, he'd never been there before, and that train started coming. He got up and ran out of the theater. That's the truth.
It's like Back to the Future Part 2 with Jaws 19.
Yeah.
Shark still looks fake.
Yeah.
Oh,
Seeing is believing.
That's right. That's right. Man, you are a spectacle, sir. You are amazing. You are a talented individual with your writing, your painting. And the book that I'm reading is Behind These Eyes, Such Sweet Madness Lies, is what I'm reading right now.
Oh, okay. That's good too.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Believe that
the one Possum Dance and the Willow Sings, I did an Audible book of that as well. So you can listen to me talk for 14 hours.
Shit, yeah, man, I'm buying that tonight. I love that's one thing I loved about you and Christmas Evil. Your soft spokenness is like you never went crazy or anything when you were yelling. Really, you were just like I got to work for Frank. He's an asshole. You see him in the bar, you just run away. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to run away.
What do you think about the end of that movie?
Amazing. Amazing.
Some people, do you know that movie was never released for the public?
Really?
It never played in playing theaters, I don't think. I own like a percentage of that film. I've never gotten a penny. But anyway, what am I going to tell you about that? I forgot what I was going to tell you about.
The ending of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. About when he goes down. That's in his mind. People say, well, what's about it? No, that was in Harry's mind, his own mind, when he went off there.
Yeah.
And his brother was kind of looking at, well, that's how my brother saw it, and they accepted that. And I love the ending.
I love it.
Yeah.
The music is going with it. The thing is, wheels are spinning.
Yep.
It's going off into the sky. There was the innocence of this young man. That was the ending of his life. Like starry, starry night.
Yep.
Paint your palette blue and gray.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Gave himself to his delusion in his final moments.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Fantastic. I loved it. I love the movie. I like I told you. This has really kicked up into like my top 3 Christmas horror movies of all time.
Well, a lot of people, you'd be surprised, say, I get things that say, this is my favorite movie of all time. And right away, I'm thinking, yeah, right away, when you were little, I told you there was Santa Claus and you found out there wasn't. And you got pissed off. I don't say that to them, but I say thank you.
Sure.
And some people compared my role to De Niro's movie, A Taxi.
That's a good comparison, though.
Where, who was it that played the Joker? What was the name of that film?
Batman.
Johnny Depp. Who? But I'm hitting a sandbar here. But it's another character, the same kind of thing, goes crazy and lives in his own world, kind of thing like that.
Yeah,
but a lot of people like horror movies.
A lot of people like horror movies. A lot of people like Christmas Evil. I don't know that for a freaking fact. And the main reason why it's hard to find is because it's when you look at the title, it's Better Watch Out. It's not Christmas Evil.
But there's another title too that I never saw. Somebody sent me something the other day.
Yeah.
I watched it on Joe Bob's last drive-in. That's where I saw it at, and I was like, a Christmas Evil. I was like, okay. And I fell in love with it there, but I'm like, then I tried to find it on Blu-ray and everything. I'm like, I can't even find it.
I started to say that it was never released because it wasn't a horror movie. They said it wasn't because it was a psychological thriller of this young guy's mind and how he grew up and what happened to him and what thing. And that's what really interested me in playing the part in the first place. It's not to be a killer or something like that. Of saying I can identify with that character. I know what he's thinking. I know what's happening, where he has his breakdown and whatever. I did have one trouble about when he's on the roof beating on the chimney, and he couldn't get down. And so, he made that movie was made for not much money,
Right.
but I was there 6 days a week for I think 6 weeks doing that film. In the meantime, I had like 3 days off, and I did another film, a big film, Brian De Palma's film.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Jesus
it'll
Christ.
come to me. When you get old, you forget names that you knew 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I got to figure that out because that's a good one. It was the same year, wasn't it? Dressed to Kill.
Just to Kill.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did that. I had 3 days off, and they asked me to do that movie. I went over and did that movie. Now, I had some wonderful 2 scenes in it. One was very short, and one was a long scene. A wonderful scene that when we were doing it, I said, I was with a wardrobe lady at the time. I said, this scene is not going to be in the movie. She said, oh, yes, it will. I said, oh, no, it won't. She said, yes, it will, because the director, Brian De Palma's wife, Nancy De Palma, is in it with you. I said, I don't think it's going to, and it didn't make the film because it was a wonderful movie, but it's most of the movie is short jumps, cut this, cut that, slows this door, a knife comes through there, and this was a scene right in the middle of the movie was a continuous scene of this guy, and she played a hooker, and he was his name Cleveland Sam. I remember that. The character's name was Cleveland Sam, and she comes in, and he just wants to talk. He's one of those guys. He's not a guy looking to get laid.
Right.
He's like, I went to the mindset. I want to know what's your life like? How do you feel? The guys rough beat you up? Don't you ever want to, take a gun and shoot them? And what would she say to them? And she tried to get the movie put back in for the European version, but it didn't work out. Nancy did. But at any rate, it didn't fit for the film because of to stop with this, a psychological thing with a hooker and a guy who's from Cleveland who wants to talk to a hooker. No. But it was a wonderful scene.
It's a wonderful movie. It's a fantastic movie. And it's got, I'm a sucker for Nancy Allen because of RoboCop and Poltergeist 3, but
she's a wonderful woman too.
Yeah,
a good friend.
Absolutely. She just seems like a great person. But yeah, that was a big one for you. And it was the same year. It's the same year as Christmas Evil. That you were a busy man in 1980.
I was I was drunk half the time too. I didn't stop drinking 43 years ago, but I wouldn't drink. I never drank. Never on stage. I would never was never drunk on stage or even high on stage. But after the shows, you start chasing that click. They go. That's why a lot of actors go to the bar after that, because you on stage. There's so much energy, the lights, the energy. You're doing this. There's applause. That's a big musical I did called Applause. Mm-hmm. What is it that we're living for? Applause, applause.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go back, go downstairs, walk down the alley. It's not like the alley in the theaters in New York are not like the old Busby Berkeley film musicals and everything, where they're gigantic and the theater's glamorous. Just an old theater with a name. Yep. I played the Palace Theater for nearly 4 years, 2 different musicals. But you walk down the alley and there's a rat running by, and somebody's running by screaming over there.
Yep.
So you go to a bar and you talk to your friends and you laugh and start. So it puts you back in a little bit like that.
Mhm.
But so some people do it too much. Some people can handle it.
Yeah.
And
I know
understand.
your situation with you know, not to touch on a subject if you don't want to, but I know one of your last times with alcohol was you got into a fight, was it not?
Oh, the cab driver.
Yeah.
Put that in that book too, because I put that in. I talk about that quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. No, I was hungover. Now, I'm an athlete, or was.
You were a boxer.
Yeah, I used to be a boxer. I played football and stuff in college, so I kept getting concussions and I had to stop. But I was a boxer, and so I was walking with my two youngest daughters in New York, Broadway and 111th Street, and I wasn't drinking, but I was hungover. So they're walking across the street, and this cab come around the corner, screeching, flying like that. And he never, and need to make a sharp turn on 111th Street. So I had my daughters, one in each hand. I put them up like that and jumped to the curb. And people have started yelling at the cab driver, and I yelled at him something. I might have called him a son of a bitch. And for somebody going that fast, where was he going? Is he trying to get away from somebody,
Right.
or trying to get somewhere real fast? And for him to slam on the brakes and jump out of his cab and run back towards me, what was going on with him? Now, all these stuff I think about afterwards, but during the time, and he jumped out, and he was a big dude. He was like, I'm Victor Nemi, Franco Harris, fullback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a much bigger, younger brother with an afro with a lot of rings on his finger. Have been that guy. And so we went at it right in the middle of the street. We didn't even say anything to each other. And guess who won that fight?
I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah, I looked up. I was in the middle of the street, and I looked up. And there's a circle of people around. Looks like a Fellini movie, and it was this one old African American man with the softest voice. He looked down at me and he said, "You shouldn't do that in front of the children." I said, "Oh." I was scared. So anyway, yeah, that's. And I wonder what was going on with that guy's mind. What happened to him that day? And there was a little guy on the street. I said, "Hold my daughters." He said, I can't do that kind of thing." And some women held my two daughters while I was in the fight with the guy. So what was going on with that? Did I put that little boy in some sort of mental problem strain that he was going to be responsible for two little girls and he couldn't handle it? A lot of stuff happened I got a million of these stories. Anyway.
Well, you know, this doesn't have to be your only time on the show. So, I mean, I'd like to hear at least 999,000 of them. So,
I tell you one similar to that one.
Okay.
That you do. There was New Year's Eve, and I was hosting in a nightclub in New York called the Upstairs and the Downstairs. I'd done some shows there, and I'd worked in every capacity. The bartender, no, not bartender, as maitre d' and waiter, and I did some of the shows there on stage, but I could make more money not on stage there. But it was one New Year's Eve, and I was upstairs, and my nickname is Buddy. Everybody called me Buddy. And they came upstairs and said, "Buddy, you better come downstairs quick." And so I went downstairs, and it was after the second show, so it's already New Year's Day. And I went downstairs, marble stairs down this place, and there was a guy at the bar, and he was leaning over the bar looking at the bartender. And I walked up to him right behind him, he's saying to the bartender, "In 2 minutes, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to shoot you."
Damn.
And then he looked over, and the bartender's wife was the hat check girl. I'm still standing there, and he had his finger out like this. This is when he said to Billy, the bartender, he says, "In 2 minutes, I'm going to kill you." And then he looked over to Gloria's wife and said, "In 2 minutes, I'm going to kill you." And he felt me standing there. He turned around and he stuck his finger in my face. He says, "In 2 minutes, I'm going to shoot you." And I took his finger and walked him outside. I could see there was no bullet in that finger.
Right.
So I walked him outside and I said, "Don't ever come back here again. Do you understand me? Don't you ever come back in here again." And he got by that and he ran down the street. Now, I'd had a few drinks.
Sure.
Otherwise, I would have been that cool, maybe. But I was really cool. I was in the scene and watching the scene at the same time.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So take him by the finger, walk him out. And we went after that. A few of us went for breakfast down in the corner of the cafe, and we're sitting in there. And I look up there and I see this guy coming down the street. He's like this, going like he's angry, going something like this. And I said, "Guys, watch this." Now, I'm ashamed of this, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
Do it.
In this corner of this restaurant, there's doors you could open. They'd come into a little vestibule. And then you could go up the other doors, come in. That was to keep the hot air out in the summer. That thing. So I was waiting there, and he came around. He opened the front door, opened the door to get inside the vestibule. I opened the door to get in there as well. When he came in, I said, "I told you you're hot." That guy thought he'd seen the devil. He jumped out of his skin and ran up the street. And I laughed so hard every night, told everybody. And then afterwards, I just thought, well, what happened? What's going on in his life? What if he just lost his job the day his wife died, his grandmother shot his father? You never know what's going on in somebody else's mind.
No, you don't.
I felt bad about that. I always, part of being an actor, I guess, continuity of things.
Yeah.
What brought this? What made this? In traffic, my sons would yell at, "Son of a bitch in traffic." I said, "Not going to yell at, do any good yelling at that guy."
Yep. Plus, like you said, you don't know what they don't know what they're going on. You don't know what just went on. It could just got fired from their job. It's like,
no,
just can't look past it.
Yeah, if you see a policeman, point or whatever, but report stuff. I had to stop a guy from breaking. I'm not going to go into that.
Go into whatever you want, man. We are all ears.
But nobody's going to watch this. How long have we been on the air?
I don't fucking know. Not long enough. I don't know.
It's my last story.
2 hours.
All right.
I was on 4 hours on no one show.
Oh shit, 4 hours.
But they did it in 2 episodes.
Okay. Found that.
This past year, I was upstairs one night, and my daughter, who lives in another part of the house up front, it's a beach house, but it's rather 3 floors and another house. It's 2 separate things. And I went upstairs to go to bed, and to cross the catwalk and go into my back part of the house, which is my office and bedroom and stuff. And so I got a phone call from my daughter. Said, "Dad," said, "something really bad is going on right outside my window." I said, "Uh-oh." So I got up, and I have a little something to protect the house with, that shoots 9 times. So don't tell anybody.
Nope.
But I went downstairs and I listened. I didn't came down the steps. I kept listening and then went down the steps further. Nothing. The longest time. And then I opened the door. And when I opened the door, that door right over there was a big dude standing in the door.
Mm-mm.
And you could see in his eyes right away that he was really high or crazed or something. He bearded, long hair and stuff like this. And I yelled at him. I said, go away. I'll shoot your ass. Go away. And it didn't dawn on him what I was saying on the thing. So I slammed the door real quick and locked it and braced these old ancient legs of mine up against that door. And he beat and pushed on that door for 20 minutes before the police came.
Jesus.
Thank God he didn't break in because I would have had to do something I didn't want to do.
Yep.
Right.
But it got so close, closer, the police came, and sirens go, and he back off or something, and bang up against that door. And I said, please don't let him break that door down.
Man,
Yeah.
And luckily,
that's straight terrifying.
the police came and got him and went off. So then you wonder, I said, what if he'd broken in and I'd ended his life? What if he was somebody's father or brother who happened to be high one night and didn't know where he was, and here I would have taken his life? I didn't make,
It sucks, that's the world we live in. Unfortunately, it sucks. Like,
but being as old as I was,
yeah,
and somebody's coming in angry at me, I know it's not going to be good for me.
Yeah,
no,
and I have to survive.
Yeah,
but thank God I did.
Somebody beating on the door. I mean, I don't know. You don't know the intent right there. You're beating on the door trying to get in. What? How do I know what you're doing?
Somebody's knocking on the door is one thing, but for 20 minutes, pounding, knocking, trying to knock the door down.
Yeah, that's a different
Me trying
story.
to hold it together. And I'm on the phone with the police thing at the same time.
Yeah.
What does he look like? It's on the other side of the door.
I don't fucking know. Just get here. I'm telling you, here's my address. Let's go.
Yeah, anyway, I don't know why I tell that story.
Do you know what? If that's what we end on, there's a horror movie in itself.
Yeah.
Because that's some scary shit.
We were getting there for some reason, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, my friend, man, has it been a good talk. Oh my God. I knew this was going to be fun. I knew as soon as I talked to you, when you called me, I knew this was going to be hilarious and it was going to be fun. And I'm not disappointed in the least bit. Hope you're not either. You've been a fantastic sport.
You're good guys.
Yeah.
We try.
Thank you.
We try.
That's why I told my daughter, Jennifer, I said, because I get a call to do this. So I have to watch part of somebody's show before I do anything. I said, after a few minutes, I said, okay, these guys know what they're doing. Okay, we'll do it.
It's just,
and you do.
It's just a show. We just pretend. We're actors. We just pretend.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time with us and answering our questions so candidly and honestly, and I really feel like I got a good perspective on a few of your experiences, and that's amazing to me. That's kind of what this is all about. Just kind of relate to people on a more human level and get a real life perspective, and we're just amazed that somebody who's had as many exploits as you was willing to sit down and talk to us, and I appreciate that very much, sir.
I concur.
Two bright human beings who are interested.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Hey, again, you being bright yourself, hanging out with us, telling us your stories. Not everybody does that. So,
all right, and finish reading that book.
I bought off like 4 that you got. I bought 4 of them.
My latest book was Kate's Crossing. Now it's a historical fiction.
I bought it. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to tell you.
Well, let me know. Send me, what you think. All right.
I will. I definitely will.
All right, guys. Been a pleasure chatting with you.
Absolutely, man.
Yes,
Thank you so very much.
Did you send me a link to this or whatever?
100%. As soon as it
Yes,
uploads,
sir.
I got you covered.
All right.
All
Bye,
right,
guys.
Have a good night, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.